Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Rob from Heroes Avenue. Happy Monday. I hope you guys are all recharged from the weekend. I did miss Friday's video. Apologize about that. But because of that, I didn't get a chance to give you guys my thoughts on the Birds of Prey and Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn movie. I did get to see it. I did enjoy it. So we're going to go into the comment section, see what you guys had to say. But ultimately, if we're going to have that discussion, we're also going to have to talk about why this movie ultimately is doing not so great at the box office. So there's a myriad of reasons why this movie's may not be doing as well as it should be. We're going to get into that, and I definitely want to see what you guys have to think. But before we get into that, the Oscars were this weekend. Yes, I know some of you guys have stopped watching the Oscars for a number of different reasons. I myself used to watch it every year, though I found that with time feeling like it's fleeting, especially having a newborn, didn't get to see the whole thing. But we have some notable winners over here. So I'm going to quickly go through the biggest thing, obviously, the performance by best performance by an actor in a leading role, best actor, essentially. Joaquin Phoenix wins that award. And I did get to see him accept that award and give his speech, which was dedicated to bringing attention to some things that society has definitely forgotten about. And he definitely brings to the forefront issues about, gender inequality, animal rights abuse. That's actually the biggest thing. It actually got me when he started talking about, what we do to animals. And I know that's a big issue for him. And he also ends his speech on talking about why he has been a terrible person. But as humans, people have accepted him and let him grow to become a better person. And he kind of highlights why that is the best of humanity, forgiving people, letting them grow and realize their mistakes and become a better person outside of it. So I thought it was a great speech. A little awkward, obviously. Joaquin Phoenix is a kind of awkward guy, but he did end it with a tearjerker of a line when he quoted his older brother River Phoenix, who passed away when he was such a young guy from an overdose. He did so that I highly encourage you guys to go ahead and check out his acceptance speech, and it was definitely well deserved. Joaquin Phoenix winning best performance by a male actor in the Joker, Arthur Fleck. It was a movie that was incredible, and it was one that a lot of us saw coming. But there was definitely a lot of competition out there. There's movies like The Irishman, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Lots of different movies. The Lighthouse was out. I'm not sure what else won. I saw some of the speech, and obviously Parasite was the big winner this weekend, and I loved Parasite. If you guys haven't seen Parasite, I know that Robert Storm's guy is doing a crazy rant about why Parasite doesn't matter as much as the Joker in the United States. Has some fair points, said in a really bad way, but Parasite was amazing. But also Joker, I wanted to let you guys know, Joker's composer won. Hildur, I don't even know how to pronounce that name, but basically the Joker composer won the Achievement in Music Written for Motion Pictures Award, Best Original Score. That is amazing because the music in the Joker was absolutely incredible, and it would not be the same if it had been anyone different. So wanted to give you guys that. What did you guys think of the Oscars? Did you think there were any snubs out there? And what do you think about Joaquin Phoenix's performance as Joker? All right, guys, let me know about that in the comments below. Let's get on to the next topic, and it has to do with Birds of Prey. So where to start with this movie? This movie is something I enjoyed way more than I thought I would. And you guys, if you guys have been watching the videos following up to the release of this movie, I was excited, but I definitely had some doubts, and I wasn't quite sold on it until the positive reviews started coming out. So I started going into the movie a little more excited. But this movie, it's essentially a breakup movie told from the perspective of Harley Quinn. Now, I do think the title is a little bit misleading, because this is essentially a Harley Quinn movie. The Birds of Prey are barely in it. And by the way, guys, I should say this is going to be riddled with spoilers if you didn't hear earlier. So click off if you don't want any spoilers. But yes, this movie kicks off with Harley Quinn and breaking up with the Joker. No real reason given but it's really cool to see this side of the Gotham underworld. Harley Quinn, of course, has Joker's protection as his girlfriend, but when she finally dumps her, we get to see Harley, like essentially a day in the life of Harley Quinn. You know, it's pretty interesting to see her antics throughout the movie, and to see her narrate it was an interesting choice. And obviously there's going to be people referencing Deadpool and how it's very similar to the style of Deadpool, and I wouldn't say that's incorrect. I think that's actually fairly accurate. They did keep the aesthetic of the whole Suicide Squad. Actually, you know, I thought that was interesting, in the fact that whenever we see someone hostile to Harley Quinn, we get kind of a pop-up of who that person was, like what their credentials were and what their grievances were with Harley Quinn. I thought that was actually done pretty well. You know, I think the funniest joke in the movie to me was the fact that one person who has a huge grievance with Harley Quinn, one of them was that she voted for Bernie. I thought that was hilarious. And yeah, I'm a Bernie supporter, so when I saw that, I died laughing in the theater. But overall, the comedy in this movie, you know, it was funny. It wasn't over the top funny. It wasn't absolutely hilarious. Not all jokes landed for me. But I did think it was funny. If you guys had any, you know, moments in there that you thought were hilarious, let me know. The audience was, you know, kind of tame in my theater throughout the movie, but I do think they enjoyed it as well. I do like the birds of prey that were introduced. So basically, Renee Montoya, probably my least favorite of the other characters in here. I understand her story, you know, a cop who's had all of her male, or not all of them, but her male figures stolen all of her glory. And Renee Montoya is someone who's still holding on just by a thread. She was probably my least favorite character out of all of them. I did love Black Canary, Janae Smollett-Bell, I believe. She was great. I really loved her backstory, which is not incredibly it's not pulled from any one comic, but they did take little different aspects of her and put it into the movie, and I did enjoy her portrayal. I liked the fact that Canary Cry was used sparingly. I thought for sure it was going to be in the movie, but I didn't know how much it was going to be used, and you kind of anticipated when she was going to use it. I thought her action sequences were cool. Her uniform stuck true to the comics for the most part, and yeah, that Canary Cry, I definitely want to see more of her. As far as Huntress, you know, Huntress was in like what? She had like so little dialogue throughout this movie that it's hard for me to judge, but she was definitely a super awkward character in the movie, which was cool. It definitely played for some laughs. Though I did always imagine in my head Huntress being a little bit different in terms of how she would be on the big screen. But she definitely was badass. It was cool to see her backstory fleshed out in this movie and how it weaved in and connected to the other characters and connected to the villains like Victor Zsasz. So I thought her arc was cool. And she reminded, if you guys watch that show on Netflix called Sex Ed, she reminds me of the alien girl who keeps drawing the penises everywhere. I highly suggest you guys check out Sex Education. It's hilarious, and she reminds me of that girl. I couldn't get that out of my head while watching, but she was cool. Moving on, let's move on before we talk about the action. Cassandra Cain. Scratch that. Renee Montoya isn't my least favorite. Cassandra Cain was my least favorite. Not only because of the departure from what she's supposed to be in the comics, that actually had no bearing in me not really enjoying her. Maybe I just find these little kid characters quite annoying in these movies. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what about it was. I just found her quite annoying. I mean, she did bring some heart to the movie. She brought some heart in by way of her and Harley Quinn's relationship. But kind of like Deadpool, the Fire Fist character really annoyed me in Deadpool, the second Deadpool movie. This character, I wish it had been portrayed a little bit differently. But the whole diamond stealing aspect, you know, her being a pickpocket, that came through straight from the leaks. So if you guys were following this channel and we talked about some of the leaks that came out of this movie, that was actually true. What I am glad is that the whole, you know, penis pics inside of the diamond thing is not in the movie, and it might have been because of reshoots. It might have been because it was never in the movie itself, but I was glad that it wasn't true. The action in this movie was great. You know, I'm not gonna call it the best fight sequences in the DCU, but I definitely thought it was John Wick-esque obviously the John Wick director came in to do some of the action in this movie, and that was heavily publicized, which was great. And I thought it was great that they publicized that, because this is definitely promoted as a girl gang ass-kicking movie, and they delivered on that aspect. And it was great for the tone of the movie. It was comical in some instances, and I thought it fit for the character of Harley Quinn and the vibe of this movie. Some people will complain that it's not realistic, but if you think about this movie itself, it just fit the tone. I didn't need it to be realistic. I needed to be entertained by this movie, and enjoyed the story, especially because she's not a superhero in the traditional sense. I thought it was great how they told the story in what I do think is more of a Quentin Tarantino fashion, in that you see part of the story in the beginning, but it's not the whole story, and wait, we have to rewind back and show you the whole story for you to understand, only to pick up in present time and continue the story again. I thought that was cool. The villains, Victor Zsasz was he was quite entertaining. You know, obviously the relationship thing with him in Black Mask is something that's going to bug people a lot, especially because it's a departure from the comics. But we've never really gotten Victor Zsasz on screen before, and I thought he was quite a menacing character, and it showed his sheer insanity in the fact that, and brutality in the fact that he was skinning people's faces. That was absolutely nuts. And Black Mask, Ewan McGregor as Black Mask, he was great. I wish we saw more of him. That's my only complaint. And I wish we saw more of the Black Mask, because it was only there at the end. And the way he went out, I was a little disappointed at first, but I thought it was quite, after thinking about it, I thought it was quite fitting. You know, how the most insignificant person with no power was able to actually end him at the end, with Cassandra Cain detonating one of Harley Quinn's bombs inside of his pants or something. So that, I thought that was cool. He was just a very menacing character. They didn't hit you over the head with his sexuality, but it was in there, obviously, and I actually thought it was pretty entertaining. So no qualms there. I just wanted to see more Ewan McGregor, because he was great. And I recently just did see the sequel to The Shining, Dr. Sleep. He's also great in there. I know that's kind of off topic, but yeah, overall, this movie is something I really, really enjoyed. I would see again. But what did you guys think? Some of you guys definitely already let us know what you think. So we're going to jump in to the comments really quick and see what you guys had to think. It didn't seem like you guys had a lot of... so it was kind of mixed. It was kind of mixed, actually. So Malcolm says, Kim dialogue and Kanye West clothes, 2 out of 10. I actually thought the fashion in the movie was great. Kim dialogue? I don't know about that. But yeah, I don't know about that. Someone says, how dare you compare action in the Batman warehouse scene? It doesn't even come close. Scrawny girls taking on big guys with guns. Yeah, right, at least BVS made it look practical. Darren thought it was the best since, the action scenes were the best since the warehouse scene in Batman vs. Superman. That is definitely the best scene ever. I thought they were great, but, you know, to reply to you, and to Anthony, I guess, the BVS scenes was awesome. It wasn't the most practical. If you think Batman would lift a huge crate over his head in the way that he did, it wasn't exactly practical, but there were definitely some more realistic components to it. But hey, if it didn't work for you, it didn't work for you. Saw in Dolby, brutal violence, action-packed, colorful, fun to see many more times. So yeah, Dan liked it. Jayan said, nah, nothing will ever compare to the warehouse scene. Cool action scenes, but no comparison. I agree with you. That soundtrack. Samuel talks about the ass-kicking soundtrack. Yes, the soundtrack was awesome in this movie. Brian says, can't wait to see this movie while smoking a blunt in an AMC movie theater. That's how we do in NYC for you. Hey, man, I wish I was in there with you. So Pat says, wow, DC's really coming onto their own. I got really nervous after Justice League that they were going to try and mimic Marvel, but I can say at least at last 4 films, I'm loving the direction they're going. Love the way we can get a fun, family-filled movie like Shazam and can get an adult comedy like Birds of Prey. I think if they can continue to stay on track and diversify the films, it's great for everybody, great for the industry, and great for the fans. All right, that's the last comment I'll read now. Yeah, great for the fans, but it seems like the fans are not supporting it. Look at all these articles right here. How Birds of Prey went astray, 33+ million opening. Birds of Prey stumbles at the box office. Birds of Prey isn't a box office disaster. Ignore the negative hype. So, like, there's some people defending this. Birds of Prey gets a new title after poor box office results, so you can't deny that. So apparently what they're doing in theaters now, guys, is they're putting Harley Quinn's name first instead of Birds of Prey at the theater, in hopes that it could sell more tickets, and that sucks. You know, it should have been called Harley Quinn, because the Birds of Prey, again, like I said, is not in this movie that much. So this movie was projected to make 50 to 55 million plus domestic opening weekend, and it only made 33. So this is definitely a big disappointing. Now, what we want to talk about here to end this video is why it may have performed like that. Now, this article here is from Deadline, from Anthony D'Alessandro, and he lists a number of reasons why. In this article right here, you can definitely check it out if you want. But let's go ahead and talk about some of those reasons. Some of them might not be from him, but you know, the fact that this movie is a spin-off comes to question in this movie. But I'm not sure that that's the biggest component for it not doing well. Obviously, Harley Quinn was the biggest part of Suicide Squad, which actually killed it at the box office. I just rewatched that movie, and I hate it even more after watching it the third or fourth time now. It really was not a good movie, but the characters were great. They're great casting, great characters, and Harley Quinn was shining in there. So you would think that, you know, Warner Brothers would make a spin-off movie with Harley Quinn. Not something I wanted, but I totally understand it. The fact that Harley Quinn never warranted her own movie, I think that's a fair point. Harley Quinn is a side character. She was created in the animated series, which is beloved, but it's not something. I mean, I guess there's not enough of iconic stories to pull from in regards to Harley Quinn. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you Harley Quinn fans can let me know of some. But I think she works better working alongside a movie or story that revolves around the Joker and Batman. Maybe I'm wrong, but I did enjoy this movie. But I'm trying to figure out why this movie didn't resonate for some people. Could it be the R rating? The R rating for this movie definitely, I think, had an impact. Obviously, there is a ton of teenagers who would love to see this movie. I actually remember going into the movie when Deadpool came out, with it being R-rated, and a ton of teenagers getting turned down from buying tickets. I think it was the same thing for this movie probably, and it's funny because there's a statistic that a majority of the people that watched this movie were actually males. So is there something about the movie that didn't resonate with the female audience? Obviously, the Birds of Prey name is something that I just talked about. Birds of Prey is barely in this movie. It should have been called Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. And I think that would have been a lot better in terms of marketing and from a marketing standpoint. This movie had a kind of untested director in Kathy Yan. I'm not going to sit here and judge her because I've not seen her past work, but I know that she's coming from an indie background. I'm not sure how much of that affected the box office results. What it does seem like happened is that the reshoots, the action scenes were reshot because of her inexperience in shooting action scenes, and that's just me speculating. I'm not sure if that's actually true, but what do you guys think about the director being a part of it? Obviously, if you didn't like the story, you probably didn't like the directing, and for you guys, that would make sense. The release date is another issue, you know, with it being in February, dropping right before Valentine's Day. I don't think that's an issue. Probably the biggest issue some people would have is the fact that some people feel like it hits you over the head with its wokeness. You know, it's like a term that's been being used a lot on the internet, and there's two factions of the internet that's either wanting the Hollywood to go more woke, and other peoples who are fighting this whole movement, and just they're contrarians. And I kind of find myself in the middle a little bit. This movie actually I didn't find it hitting me over the head with its wokeness. Obviously, the themes are there if you want to see them. You know, all the males in the movie were essentially bad people, and all the females, it was just them navigating this world of males who are kind of running things in the movie. So if you want to really look into it like that, you can. But I don't think it hits you over the head with it. But I do think there is a narrative there. And I've seen a ton of YouTube videos online with people saying that you know, they don't want to see this type of movie anymore. So let me know what you guys think. Why do you think that this box office or this movie is underperforming at the box office at the moment? Or do you think it even is? Am I wrong? Are we wrong in interpreting it like this? Is it underperforming? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. That's all I have for today, guys. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy the video, again, please give it a like. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell for more videos like this. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace.